Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
And welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm Marlene Cuellar.
And I'm Gavin Courtney.
And thank you for joining us this morning.
Yep, it's a beautiful Thursday morning. Sun is shining already.
That's right.
Yep. And everything's nice and breezy. We will talk about weather a little bit later. But of course, a lot going on. And Marlene and I were just talking a bit, before we got started. In relation to COVID-19, because that's always the topic that, that I think that's like the first thing that most people tend to talk about when they see each other. I think when you go to work in the morning, you always hear people talking about new cases and this and that.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? And then you get the conversation where let's not talk about COVID.
Yep.
And then it goes back to COVID.
Yeah. But we were talking a little bit about the proposed 3-month plan that is an initiative by the government, which is basically aimed at giving incentives to get the population vaccinated. And those incentives include things like relaxing or pushing back of the curfew hours, and opening of the land borders. And this is all sort of progressive. So each stage, if we hit our targets, then it should follow that, we should open up gradually more and more towards the end of the year.
Yeah. The only thing we didn't get clarification on is where schools fit into that. At this time, we know schools are still allowed to be open. They have to apply. They have to get that green light status so that they can be open. But that is definitely, I know, an area that people, parents especially, who woke up this morning thinking, I have to teach my child again, or not teach your child, but ensure that they log on or they complete the work that they've been given. They've been really overwhelmed with that. But the overall plan, I do hope we can get there. I think for me, the biggest incentive is the Christmas weekends being at midnight. That's definitely something we'd all want. We'd want no curfew at all, as I can tell by your face. You're thinking of New Year's Eve and what that would be like, countdown to midnight at home,
right?
Which we did last year. But so as the Prime Minister laid out yesterday in his interview, the idea of this 3-month plan is to allow for some predictability for the public, for businesses, for everyone. But it is hinged entirely on getting our positivity rate down. And so that means that we're seeing less spread of the disease across the country. We had over 200 cases yesterday. It's hard to, I think that one of the critical things is that you can't gauge COVID. In speaking with the epidemiologist on the show before, the best way to gauge COVID is kind of looking at like multiple days and the average of that, because there are natural fluctuations that happen each day. But the idea is that you want to get that positivity rate, the number of people who test positive out of the total number of people who get tested, down to 10%. So we move into that first phase with a 10 p.m. curfew, then 5% after that, which would take us, I think, to 11%. With midnight on weekends, and then hopefully lower than that, where they can open up the land borders.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that another thing to note is that a big part of this is also, a big part of the targets which the government hopes to reach is also involving the vaccination rate. And that is still, the vaccination effort is still ongoing. And this is also following sort of what's being done in other countries internationally, because if you watch international news, you see other countries in Asia, Europe, North America that are also easing, have been easing restrictions. to the point where some are almost completely open now.
Yeah.
Depending, and even those ones which are completely open, a lot are requiring proof of vaccination status to enter sort of businesses.
Yeah.
Or a lot of businesses are just doing it of their own volition, which is, of course, we also see that happening here.
Yeah.
When it comes to vaccinations or proof of negative tests. So I think that the predictability factor is one of the biggest things. We know that we've definitely been hearing cries from the business community about that, particularly the restaurants and restaurants and other food businesses who are definitely affected by the curfew, especially in tourist areas where people are traveling and they definitely if they want to come and have dinner or whatever. And
yeah, that's also
because it's a big part of their business.
Well, I mean, when you go on vacation, you look for great nights out to have great meals at a restaurant. Yeah. That's part of your experience. And we have some amazing restaurants that people come here and enjoy. But that was an interesting clash of perspectives, and it seems to be a very firm position being taken by the Prime Minister yesterday. We'd spoken earlier this week with the CEO in the Ministry of Health and BTB, and we'd heard from other members of the tourism sector that they were very concerned about having a vaccine mandate for persons to be able to utilize restaurants. I think the CEO said about 25% of tourists coming in are unvaccinated. They present a negative test when they come in. But the challenge for them now is, what will they do if they can't go to restaurants? And so they were hoping to kind of get some sort of reprieve or shift. They discussed that on the morning show on Monday. And yesterday, when we posed the question to the Prime Minister, he basically said, listen, these people are coming from countries where they have to present a vaccination card, so we don't have to make any exceptions for them here. And that's just, it seems to be a very firm position moving forward. So that's an interesting take.
It is, and I think that it is especially interesting when you think that when the last statutory instrument, or it might have been 2 statutory instruments ago. I mean, you can't you can never be sure nowadays, right? Yeah. But that was allowing for a little bit of an ease of a restriction, and when we had a little bit stiffer restrictions last week and the week before, or 2 weeks ago, when most of the country was under a 7 p.m. curfew and no movement Sundays. And some of the restrictions didn't apply to some of the more heavily touristed areas. And of course, people were saying, well, is that discrimination? Why do they get these sort of privileges, if you want to call it that, and we don't? Yeah. And I think that one of the things is that it's not necessarily because we want to treat tourists better. I think that it's recognizing sort of the impact that the COVID and everything has had on the economy. Yeah. As we say, it's often quoted that around 40% of our economy relies on the tourism industry, and we know what happened in 2020. Yeah. So the ongoing recovery effort is also to provide some economic relief, not only for the government by way of taxes, but also the business community, especially in those areas who just saw months and months and months of no activity at all. Yeah,
yeah. No, it's a tough spot. It's a tough spot because I know the CEO in the tourism ministry noted on Monday, she said, we don't have designated tourism zones. So when you keep an area open, like let's say Placencia, that's people who live in Placencia, and that's also tourists who visit Placencia, for example. And that's where people start to say, well, it's not just tourists, like people in these areas. How many people went to these areas on those no movement weekends, hoping to have a level of freedom? I know quite a few who did. They went to spend weekends there. But it's still going to be a challenge if you say only tourists, because I'm a tourist if I go to Cayo or to Placencia or Hopkins. I am, a foreign passport doesn't make me less of a tourist. It hopefully gets me better rates, but but that's kind of the challenge that they have there as well. So it's not an easy solution, and I keep on saying it's such a delicate balancing act to ensure that you can keep the economic health on the path to growth, but also do all that you can to ensure public health. Because once we start to see a rise in COVID cases, as we have it still impacts things like tourism because people don't want to come if we have an outbreak.
Absolutely, and then every now and again you see that countries like the U.S. or something will put out like travel advisories for countries which are safe or safer to go to. And of course, if there's rising COVID cases, and especially if we consider the impact that it could potentially have on the healthcare system, because that's also something that international people will be looking at. Because I think that nowadays, I mean, not even traveling, you don't even have to go so far as traveling, but really, if you're going to leave your house, there's a risk that you're going to come into contact with COVID.
Yeah.
And so if you do travel and you get COVID in a foreign country, people also have to evaluate, well, what's the risk if that happens? And we have had foreign citizens and tourists who have been ill and even hospitalized with COVID-19 from cruise ships or from people coming by air.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a lot to weigh. It's not an easy decision to make for the government, of course, but
especially eating, because I think when we put it all into perspective, there's so many different elements here. You have to take off your mask. Yeah. You're talking, you're eating. We know that respiratory droplets is the main means of transmission. Goes into the air, someone else breathes it in or comes in contact with it, and there you have transmission taking place. We know of people, I know of people who've gotten COVID just through sitting and having lunch with a coworker without their masks, of course, because they're eating, not because they want to, reject some kind of mask mandate. It's what you do when you eat. So these are all really challenging decisions that have to be made. I'm looking forward to seeing what the tourism sector is going to say in response to this, or if there'll be any change in the position we heard yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we have to remember that at the end of the day, a lot of it is just dependent on us as well. How we handle COVID, I mean, we have been, the vaccine is one thing, and it's a great thing and it's beneficial, and it's still encouraging to me to see the amount or the rates of vaccination that we are able to achieve every day, especially when we compare to some of our regional neighbors who aren't doing as well. But I think that as well, when it comes to management of the whole pandemic, we still have personal responsibilities, and those are to, of course, keep adhering to the protocols, which has been pretty consistent from the beginning of the pandemic as well, from all that we knew about the virus. So if we do our part to contain the spread, then of course it makes it easier for everything to open back up, and the road to, let's say, economic recovery, and also let's call it social recovery when it comes to these things like curfews and restrictions.
Recover your sanity.
Restrictions on
socialization.
Exactly, restrictions on gathering, because it's not even just about going out to like bars or clubs. It's also having family gatherings, weddings, graduations, and exactly, or just hanging out and seeing people.
What do you miss the most?
Well, I think I miss gatherings. I mean, just in general. I mean, it doesn't really matter the setting to me. I'm pretty social. So once it's what's the expression about when it's more than like it's what, three's a party, two's a crowd, or however two's a party, three's a crowd. I don't know, whatever it is. But I just need I just need people to be around me. I don't mind the setting.
Such a social butterfly. I hate just. The loss of closeness and connection that we have. I've said it, I think, from day one. I'm a hugger. I like to greet people. And it's amazing how, even now, I mean, I'll be honest, I think to myself, wow, I'm not supposed to hug someone, and you realize it after. So we do slip up at times because there's just this natural sense of connection that we build with people. And especially in our culture, maybe we don't do 2 kisses, but we at least do one little hug or one little kiss on the cheek. So that has been really hard for me, and definitely kind of just having that relaxed atmosphere that you're not thinking, okay, what time's curfew? I need to get home.
Oh, yeah. No, for sure. And I think that it's also, and for a lot of people, psychologically, COVID has been hard, especially during the periods of lockdown and when you had to be isolated, or even if people who've contracted cases who've had to like self-isolate or even isolate like in their own houses. that extended period of time, like alone or with limited contact with people, that can really take a toll on a lot of different people, especially if you're more extroverted and you get sort of energy or you know, you just feel naturally comfortable being around people. And I can relate to that to a certain extent too, because you know, I don't necessarily like being in my house all the time. So yeah, but it also, you know, people want to do more recreational activities as well. Like even contact sports are still something which isn't or are not allowed right now. So we want to get back to normal. All of us kind of do, or adapt to whatever the new normal is going to be. And so we, you know, we listen to the government, we listen to the science, and then use that to make the best decision for you and your loved ones.
Yeah. All right, so those are some of the things people are talking about today, but we got to get moving into our show. So let's shift gears to some motivation to get you started right, and that means it's time for our eye opener. And our eye opener, taken from dailyong.com, goes like this. Saying no to somebody when we're used to saying yes can be challenging, as we fear being rejected. Many of us, from childhood on, are taught that saying yes is right and saying no is wrong. We learn that acceding to demands allows us to avoid conflict and criticism, please people, earn praise, and prove that we care for the important people in our lives. Yet, the right to say no is indelibly intertwined with the ability to make choices. When we sense we are limited in our options, compelled to say yes, even when doing so is not in our interests, we are effectively robbed of our ability to choose. Growing out of this tendency to say yes, even when we desperately want to say no, can be challenging because we suspect that others will reject us for our assertiveness. But the reward we receive upon facing this challenge is true freedom of choice. Keep in mind that it is only when you feel you have the legitimate right to say no that you can say yes with utmost certainty, sincerity, and enthusiasm. While saying yes almost always has a cost, you can feel good about offering your agreement when your reasons for doing so are rooted in your individual values and your appreciation for the appeal before you.
This is a great eye-opener, a great message. It's really, this is a hard lesson to learn, but it is a super necessary one. Everybody comes to everybody goes through their own process, and of course it changes over time, your boundaries that you're able to set for yourself. But what's important is to recognize them so that you can say no. So the first thing is to recognize those boundaries, and two is to sort of get the confidence and the ability to do that, and that takes a while. You know, me personally, I guess, or have been, I don't know if I could say now, but no, I'm naturally sort of a people pleaser. So this used to be a problem for me because, you know, and you definitely, you know, you hear an idea or somebody comes to you and you might want to help. You genuinely want to, and you say, oh, well, that sounds good. And then you just say yes. And then like, you know, afterwards you think about it and you're like, oh my gosh, what did I sign up for? And then you think about, and then when it actually plays out, and then you end up maybe spreading yourself thin, and you know, you have so much to juggle and you end up getting so stressed out. Or even when you don't want to do something, you feel like you kind of have to say yes, especially if it's something like for your family, or maybe somebody like your boss or somebody suggests that you do something. And then you say yes, and then you realize that you can't really take it on when it comes to it, and it's really difficult. But I can remember you know, in my case, I remember like when I just started practicing law. I started in, I think I got called to the bar in about like October, November, right around this time actually, and the year after that, which was like the first full year after. It was a difficult year just because I guess it was my first, like, you know, year full-time going at it, juggling all of the professional and personal stuff. And, you know, it was super difficult. And I remember at the end of it saying, this was a really tough year, but the best thing that came from it is that I know my limits. That's the one thing that I learned from that year for sure. So that moving forward, I know what I can handle. And so when I'm considering like saying yes or no to something, then I think I'm in a much better position to think because I know what I've been through and I've said yes to too many things.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's an absolutely tough lesson, especially if you know you're a people pleaser. But in general, I find two circumstances, and I try to categorize it in my little compartmentalized mind. There are two things that I do. One is, and I'm in no way a master, please don't take that. But one is I question shoulds. So if somebody asks me to do something and I start to tell myself I should, and I start to question my should for who, should for what, should because I'm obligated in any sort of way, or should because I feel external pressure from what expectations are. So that's one. I think that one is probably easier to filter. Giving a polite no is not always easy. But then I think for me the struggle is when you have to filter your yeses, because there's many things, and especially when you're naturally curious and you you're helpful, you want, you're idea driven, you want to do a lot of things, and so you want to say yes to all of it. But the challenge really becomes when you can't be able to fit it all within your schedule. You spread yourself so thin that you're not able to do your best at all these things that you've said yes to. You become personally overwhelmed, and then it just adds more stress to it. So I think that's the one that really becomes harder for me. But yeah, I'll take the eye opener and I'll say, heard you, and I will keep on working on it. But for now, we're going to get moving into our weather update for today, so we can find out what that is going to be like. And we're hoping that the phone is going to say yes to us. So it doesn't seem that way. Let me see. We'll just go ahead and read our prepared forecast for today. The general situation is for warm and relatively dry conditions to prevail.
And for our 24-hour forecast, we are expecting to see mostly sunny skies today with only isolated showers, along with a chance for afternoon thunderstorms over the mountains. And it's going to be cloudy at times tonight with a few showers or thunderstorms over the south and isolated showers elsewhere.
The winds are moving from the east to the southeast at 5 to 10 knots, and the sea state is going to be slight. And
looking at our temperatures, we are expecting highs of 89 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 95 inland, and 82 up in the hills.
All right, and our lows for tonight are going to be 81 along the coast, 73 inland, and 66 in the hills.
And our outlook as we head into Friday and the rest of the weekend, we are expecting to see for Friday and Friday night cloudy spells with isolated showers or thunderstorms on Friday, then a few showers and thunderstorms mostly over the south on Friday night. And we want to thank Derek Rudon, our forecaster, who prepared today's general weather forecast.
All right. And with that, we're moving into our show for today. And Gavin, we were talking about all the stories about COVID, and I think I've said it quite a few times on the show already that we think of numbers, but they're individual persons behind each one of those numbers. And we had quite a scare over the past month when one of our reporters tested positive COVID and was hospitalized as well. And we asked her if she felt comfortable sharing her story and just what this experience has been like. And she's agreed. So she's coming in this morning to tell us about how she was able to survive COVID and what the experience has been like. A great learning lesson to people who have been concerned, and definitely, I think, providing some comfort for others who have been through the same experience. So our first conversation is going to be with Marian Ali, who is a reporter on our news team.
And for our second conversation, we are going to be talking about a very exciting and probably much needed project. It is the opening of a new dialysis clinic, and that's going to be happening down south. And we're going to be getting all the details about the opening of the Southern WellCare Dialysis Clinic, and that's going to be our second conversation for this morning.
All right, and then our football girls are doing it again. So the U17 qualifiers taking place in Miami, Florida, and we are going to be joined by the director and some of the athletes to tell us about how they've been preparing and what their expectations are heading into this tournament. So that's going to be your final conversation for today. We'll find out when you need to pull out those flags and how you can show these girls our support. But we got to go ahead and take a break. And before we do,
yep, we've got a birthday shout out to give. So from all of us at Open Your Eyes and Channel 5, we want to give a very, very big birthday shout out to Brianna Belial. So Brianna, we hope you have a very great birthday. Happy birthday, and we hope you enjoy today and have many, many more.
All right. So we'll take that break and we'll be back with our conversation with reporter Marian Ali about her COVID stories. Please stay tuned.
Are you a teacher or public sector employee who is thinking of owning your new home? Get the keys to your new home with Belize Bank's all-inclusive mortgage, the best financing option in Belize for your new home purchase or construction. Inclusive of all mortgage-related fees, no down payment, affordable terms, amazingly low interest rates. Visit our nearest branch to speak to one of our financial advisors to discuss how you can be one step closer to owning your new home. Some conditions apply.
We have been a partner with Smart for over 10 plus years. We have a full Smart plan we use as our major driver for our business. We have a service that rolls over in that if you call one and it is busy, it rolls over to the next line. So once you call us, you can get us at any time. Before we got this Smart service, we were paying upwards of nearly $2,000 in phone bills. Since we've had our Smart service, we pay an average of about $600. So we've had tremendous saving, more than 50%. For the businesses, if you want to save money, switch to Smart because it is far more cost effective and the service is excellent.
Smart continues to be innovative in bringing new technology and meaningful savings during these challenging times to businesses across Belize. Sign up for our VoIP technology or broadband packages and save more.
How does the AstraZeneca vaccine work? The vaccine provides support to help your body develop immunity to the virus that causes COVID-19. The body is left with a supply of memory cells that will remember how to fight the virus. It takes a few weeks for the body to produce the antibodies after vaccination. How long does it take to build immunity after taking the first dose of the vaccine? There is protection 14 days after a person's first dose. However, that initial protection may decline over time, which is the reason why it is so important to get the second shot. How long after the first dose should one take the second dose? The second dose should be given between week 8 and week 12. Are there any deaths associated with the AstraZeneca vaccine? There have been no deaths associated with the AstraZeneca vaccine. Vaccines save lives. They remain the safest, most effective, and cost-effective medical tool developed. Increased uptake of the vaccine is the best way to stop this pandemic, save lives, and return to normalcy.
Great Belize Productions, Channel 5, proud winner of 5 Caribbean Media Awards for 2019 and 2020. Best Television News Item, Best Responsible Coverage of Children's Issues, Best Health Education Journalism, Best Television Commercial Spot, and the People's Choice Award, with special mention by the jury in the Best Television News Item category.
Whether you're at home, on the road, at work, or at school, if you see news happening or suspect that something might be up, call or text the Channel 5 News Belize tip line at 672-5555. You don't have to give us your name. Just give us the tip. That's 672-5555. Call or text us so we can check it out.
Today's COVID update is brought to you by Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price but stay for the service.
And we're back, and we're moving into our first conversation this morning, where we get to hear a first-hand account of COVID experience from a well-known name and face in the country. Marianne Ali is with us. Marianne is one of our reporters here at Channel 5, and just recently returned to work yesterday, after battling COVID-19. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
How are you feeling?
I'm a little fatigued today. I have a headache. And I was a little winded earlier, but praise God, I am much better than I was the past 3 weeks.
Yeah. So Marianne, before we talk about your COVID experience, can we just, let me ask about being open about sharing the story. What's the motivation behind it?
2 things. Trying to target the people who are still being irresponsible in my view. And I'm being very candid. Yeah. Because I went through the fight myself, I take it very personal now when I see people not wearing their masks properly, when I hear about people not abiding by the regulations and still socializing, still partying, still inviting over friends and people who don't live in their households so they can take a drink and celebrate and whatever. It's people like them that get people like me sick, because that's how you spread it. You socialize and you carry on and you pass it on, and you might not be the ones who will get symptomatic, but when you pass it on to someone like me, we are the ones who get sick. Yeah. And we have to be hospitalized, and sometimes we don't make it. So the motivation behind it is to appeal to those people to please, you have to be considerate. I think it's selfish when you do those things. When you break the law, you're actually breaking the law. Because the regulations are there to protect us. And 2, it's to save the lives of your loved ones. Because usually you take it home to the people that you love, your family, your elderly. They are the ones who, or people like myself with pre-existing health conditions. I'm hypertensive, I'm obese, as you can see. That's something that I will also try to address as I recover my weight. Trying to lose some weight. But it's people in your family or people who are close to you that you most oftentimes get sick. So for those 2 reasons, I feel like I was compelled to come here.
Yeah. So you know what's interesting, Marianne? I remember when you called to tell me the results, and I think in speaking with the rest of the news team and the rest of the staff here, I think we were all really surprised, because you have been you knew you had a pre-existing condition, you're fully vaccinated, and you have been extremely vigilant throughout, because we're frontline workers and you're out there in the field. Mm-hmm. Take me back to when you started to feel those feelings and you decided, let me just check.
First symptoms, you mean?
Yeah.
I remember the Friday. Everything was normal with me. Mm-hmm. And two of our colleagues gave me a lift, and it was after I had settled in for the night, maybe a couple hours after reaching home that Friday night. I started having a little shortness, a fever came on, a headache, and I felt a little bit weak. And I said, the regular flu is not, it's not spreading at this time of the year. And plus I have also got a flu shot, so it can't be just a regular flu. this has to be COVID. But how I caught it, I am still trying to figure out, because my situation, I'm reminded a lot by, and he's my friend, Dr. Manzanero, and I really thank him for being there for me, along with all of you guys who walked with me virtually through my fight. But he was meticulous, and that was the adjective that he used to describe him, wearing 2 masks and all. I don't leave home without my my sanitizer.
Right over there.
Yes, and I wear my mask on all day. It doesn't matter how uncomfortable it becomes, except if I'm in a room by myself, then I would tend to pull it down a bit just to take a breath and put it back up. But when I'm in a room with you guys or anybody, you'll never see me pull down my mask. And I don't know, I used to abide by the 6-foot regulation. If further apart from you, the better. You know, and I used to tell myself, I have to assume everybody has the virus and could give me. So how I acquired it, I'm at a loss still. I'm really puzzled by how I got it. And then thankfully nobody else here got it. But the likelihood of me catching it from maybe somebody's hand maybe opening, the likelihood of it being caught, no, not here. It had to be outside of the building. You know, I'm just speaking in terms of likelihood.
Okay.
It had to be outside because nobody else here caught it. I was the only one, because I think you guys had conducted contact tracing and nobody else was detected. So those were my first symptoms of Friday night, and then I decided I have to go right away the following morning, the Saturday, and I messaged Dr. Musa, Melissa Musa, who is always in the news. So I messaged her and I told her, Doc, these are what I'm experiencing now. I think I have it. Can I please come in? And she said, oh yes, please come. You need to come in to the Central Health Region and we'll test you right away. And lo and behold, the rapid test was positive, so I didn't need a PCR because the first test was positive. And I wasn't shocked because I already knew, but I was concerned because I knew my health conditions. I knew, you know, that I'm not the healthiest person. And I actually knew that this is Delta that is spreading, so the fight won't be an easy one. But that fight, I had to fight, and I conditioned my mind that I had to fight.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, and so she gave me some guidelines and some advice, and told me to go home and to monitor myself. And if I have severe symptoms that I can't manage at home, then I need to go to the hospital. I went home and I started to take daily notes, just to see how my body was coping with dealing with the virus, because they say that your worst days are between days 5 and 10 or 12. And so from day 1 upon diagnosis, I started to take notes, and every day I was getting a little bit, things were getting a little bit more challenging for me.
Can you help us understand what it felt like? Because I think people at home all have that anxiety, and we don't know. We don't know what you feel when you have COVID, or when we know it's getting bad that we have to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
You feel, and it's a progressive illness. As the days progress, so does the illness or the disease. It attacks your system. You feel as if though the life is being sucked out of you. The shortness got really bad as the days progressed. The fatigue. I can recall the Sunday, because every Sunday and as often as I could, I get up and I play gospel music and hymns, and I was doing that this Sunday. And right after that, when I got up to go and shower, the pain that was striking me throughout my entire body, I couldn't cope with that. I had to take painkillers. Those didn't work. Um, it's not the regular ache. You know, when you have a little flu, you might feel a little broken. No, it's like 10 times worse than that. And the shortness.
You said
just
it
to
hurt to
stand up and
breathe?
walk a few feet, you get so short of breath. Yeah, the shortness, you can't, and that's because I'm at home, so I didn't have on my mask.
Yeah.
And the shortness, I couldn't cope with it.
And at that point, were you isolating? Did you have anybody?
Yes, of course. Yeah, I have a roommate. And yeah, I was in my
So you were doing
my space,
everything
right?
for yourself, even
And-
though you
and
had those
yes.
difficulties. Yeah.
So I was taking all the herbs that people
Yes.
prescribe, and I was drinking all the hot teas and eating all the hot soups, but I was not feeling well. I was feeling worse. And I recall Sister Bowman at KHMH, she was probably in here maybe the week before, saying how overwhelmed they were with work and with finding beds and trying to source resources to deal with their overwhelming numbers. So I told myself, you know, I really don't want to go and add to the load because they're already dealing with so much and so many patients. So I stayed at home and I prayed a lot, and I said, let me just try to take the herbs more. Maybe I need to double up on taking herbs more, or drinking double dose or whatever, drinking more hot stuff, you know, but it wasn't getting any better. And I decided,
You were at
I
home
think
for
it
6
was-
days.
I think
the
it
Friday.
was, it was the following Friday. Right.
Yes.
It was day 6, you said. And you know, because you've followed me closely. So on day 6, yes, when I got up to shower that morning, and again I'm reminded by Dr. Mansa's story because the same thing happened to me. I was starting to have like flashes of blackness. And I was so weak, so tired, and so out of breath, I could hardly stand up to shower. And I decided, no, this is the day I need to call on Sister Bowman and ask her, do you have space for me? Because I need your help. And so I did, and she responded and she said, yes, come in, I have a bed for you, I'll be waiting for you. And by the time I got there, she was waiting outside for me, you know, and along with one of the attendants, I couldn't walk. So they had to come for me with a wheelchair, put me in a wheelchair and roll me into the COVID ward, one of the wards, because I think they've expanded to have 3 wards.
And you
now.
said that was an experience in itself. Being rolled into this ward that we've covered in the news so many times, and
Yeah.
seeing sick people.
So when I was rolled in there, I had to pass several people, patients, and while I was going through my own difficulty with trying to catch my breath, I happened to glance around, and I saw a lady, a very young lady, on a ventilator. And that went through me because we know the realities with people who go on ventilation. You know, you don't often come off alive, and that the numbers speak for themselves. And I said to myself, gosh, she can't be more than 40 years old. She must have a family. And you know, I was going through my own difficulties, but I was also thinking about her, and it put into perspective for me as they continued to roll me, and I looked around and I saw well, everybody was on oxygen, and then when I got to my bed and then I looked across, and there was another man on a ventilator, an older man. And I said, wow. So if I get worse, if they can't help me, I could be one of those people on a ventilator. And I could have actually been connected to one because the following day the doctor came after they ran all the tests and they did an exam on my lungs, and they found out that I actually had pneumonia. And the doctor came to me and said, you know, Miss Ali, if you had waited one more day, we don't know if we could have. He said, even now, it's iffy. We don't know, because we will try. We will give you the medication, but I'll be frank with you. You have some people walk in, and they don't make it out alive. And I didn't walk in. Mm-hmm. I had to be rolled in a wheelchair. So, that was really a wake-up call for me. I could not, it's possible that I might not make it out from here.
What's it like?
That was going to actually be my question, because, a lot of people focus on the physical symptoms of COVID, but the mental battle as well. So from that point of the hospital, and also to seeing all that's going on around you, can you describe what that was like while you were hospitalized?
The mental battle was something, look, that was as difficult as the physical one, because it's not easy to see people dying around you. And I did see people die right around me, and placed in the bag and taken out. And it's like maybe playing a little game of Russian roulette. You look at all the beds and you wonder, which one I name? Will I be next, or will this bed be? Because the man across from me who was on the ventilator, he died, and the young lady who I told you, the first one I glanced at, she had died. And then 2 days before I was released, one man who they had just brought in, he also died before I left. So he was only there for maybe 24 hours and he passed. That was difficult, and you do get depressed.
When you talk about next to me, is it like this proximity?
It's like 6 feet. They keep they abide by the regulations, so the beds are like 6 feet apart.
So it's this distance.
At least 6 feet apart, right? Maybe a little further. This is it 6 feet?
Yeah.
Okay. So I got depressed, even with all the messages that you guys and everybody on Facebook and my previous boss. Thanks, Elizabeth. I appreciate it. I got depressed because I realized that I might not live. I might not make it out of here, So, but I never lost faith. Yeah. I kept praying, playing gospel music on my phone, and watching documentaries, because I like documentaries. And so I tried to just keep myself relaxed and focused, and my mind at ease, doing things that I like to do. Yeah. In those limited little, with the limitations that I had, just trying to use the internet just to relax my mind from what my body was going through.
Medically, you were being treated. We saw the remdesivir. You were on oxygen. You struggled with your blood sugar, and you don't have diabetes.
No. Luckily, my hypertension really was coping. I did not need medication for that. For the entire week, my pressure was good. Mm-hmm. So that was one thing that the doctors didn't have to worry about. What they were focusing on was, yes, my blood sugar level, and I was not previously diagnosed with diabetes, and I up to now don't feel that I am diabetic, because the first couple tests they took, it was maybe bordering 130, mm-hmm. and I think that that may be borderline high, or mm-hmm. just below. But they kept giving me food that I believe took it down a bit, mm-hmm. and the blood sugar level thereafter went down to maybe 80, 84. It remained around that region, so that wasn't really a concern either. Both the hypertension and the blood sugar level, they cooperated. I think the obesity, though, Marlene, and I'm not ashamed, everybody knows. And then also, I need to bring this up. People also know that I smoked cigarettes for several years. But because of COVID and because of me being conscious and trying my best not to catch it, but also preparing myself that if I catch it, I'd give myself and my lungs whatever chances to fight, to better fight. So I had actually quit smoking maybe 6 or 7 weeks prior to getting sick, in my attempt to, give my lungs that break. But the smoking, I want to say, man, if you smoke, you're not helping your situation. I used to laugh at, after I quit, I used to laugh when I see men pull long their masks to light a cigarette. That for me was the most ridiculous thing. Now, I don't laugh at it because I think of those people, if you get sick, you're really not putting yourself in the best possible position to fight the disease, because the damage that it does to the disease itself does to your lungs, and then what you are doing by lighting a cigarette, you're just, you're making it worse. So the lifestyle changes are important. If you drink and smoke and you engage in all you're doing is damaging, or you're putting your immune system through a worse condition. You're actually
making it harder for your body to fight.
I'd like to say that you're actually damaging your immune system before you catch the disease.
I wanna just touch on that for a moment, and thank you for being so candid with us today. I know that one of the hardest things that we all had to accept was we're all fully vaccinated here, and you kept on saying, but I'm fully vaccinated when you were in the hospital, and that was really tough. I mean, even at one point you're like, well, was it worth it?
Yeah, I thought that. Yeah. I did. And yes, it was worth it. And the doctors, when I asked them, because I did ask them that question, I asked them, doctor, why am I here? I shouldn't have gotten this sick because I'm fully vaccinated. But then, of course, all the issues I explained earlier, obesity, hypertension, smoking and drinking doesn't help. You could be fully vaccinated, no mean that.
But if your body isn't healthy,
you need to take care of yourself. The vaccination will help you to fight, but make you invincible. You can't go out there and play Superman and Superwoman and be careless. Yeah. Because this is the way the disease will knock you off your feet and give you some humble pie if you eat.
And what was it? What was like the support that you received like from the staff at KHMH? Like what was that experience like?
The KHMH doctors, nurses, and caregivers never left our side. Never left our side. They are very supportive, and I'm talking about aside from suiting up in their PPEs and coming in to give us our food and medication, they gave us support. And there was this one lady, Mrs. Helen Siego. Thank you so much for coming in. And this is something that she does every single day when she's on shift. She's a I forgot she's not a nurse, I think, but I'll call her a caregiver.
An attendant?
She is one of the assistants to a nurse. So she comes in and if you need to be cleaned, she'll clean you up, and she'll come and but she gives us that support, that she comes in every day bright, and she wants to know, so how are you all doing today? Good morning, this is Mrs. Siego. And you got this, right? You got this fight, right? Miss Ali, you got this fight, right? And she'll come and buck you, and she will build your spirit. And I think that's what helped us along as well, Yeah.
When you see, and you said it and then I thought of it, one of the things that we have seen is where people, I mean, they have to wear their PPEs when they go into the units. So you don't get to see their faces.
Unless you know them. Well,
Yeah.
yes, you do see them because they have the shields
clear
on.
shield, yes.
And yeah, but
But it is still a strange interaction to see
it is,
somebody
well,
fully suited in this way.
yeah, that's strange. Of course, we have to understand that they need to protect themselves. So the only thing you see really is their face, well, eyes basically, because they do have to protect themselves coming into the COVID ward.
Yeah.
And then
Marion, you said that one of the things for you was that as traumatic as it was seeing people die around you, you had to build a mental strength to say, I will do exercises, because you're required to do exercises, so you don't need more oxygen, so you don't end up on a ventilator. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, but I need to go back to when they put the oxygen level at 5. The oxygen level goes up to 15 on the regular oxygen tank. But they put it on 5, and that's where they started me at. And even at 5, I was having difficulty breathing, and I had to pull down my mask. And I had to tell them, listen, this is not helping me. I need to breathe. I can't breathe. Why can't you take it up some more? And they told me, but we will not take it up because, yes, you have pneumonia, but your lungs have not collapsed, and you need to use the portion that is working. We need to keep that functioning, and you need to expand, bring back the rest of it. So the oxygen is just to support you, but you need to use your lungs to breathe. And so it was hard, especially having to go to the bathroom. Means you have to disconnect the mask, the oxygen mask, and walk to the bathroom. Well, in my case, because I wasn't so weak that I couldn't do it. And yes, they did offer me a catheter, but I'll tell you, one of my symptoms was diarrhea for 2 weeks. So a catheter, urinal bag would not have helped. I preferred to go to the bathroom. And those were regular trips. And every time I had to take off the oxygen, that was a challenge in itself because I couldn't breathe. But I told them, nurse or doctor, but it was more often a nurse, I'm going to the bathroom, I won't lock the door because if I fall down, please come and check on me, if I don't make it out, within a certain time. And they'll tell me, yes, sure. So they'd come and check or whatever. And they did come and check, Miss Ali, are you okay in there? Yes. But going from the bed to the bathroom, and the bathroom wasn't very far. It was just outside and around the corner. And it took so much out of me that by the time I reached there, I was coughing, I was out of breath, trying to catch my breath, and focusing on really stop coughing and relaxing and trying to catch my breath. Every time that happened to me for several days. And I spent 8 or 9 days there.
Just to use the bathroom?
Just to use the bathroom, yes, that was a challenge. So, the simple things we take for granted, these are the things that COVID takes us or robs us of. You can't breathe. The air all around us, and we can't breathe because our lungs are not functioning or functioning well.
Yeah.
So eventually it became easier with the medication and the oxygen level. They started to reduce it, and I was actually telling them, you could take it down, because by now I don't want to go home.
I know that.
I don't want to go home. So I told them, please, you can't take it down, carry that tree today or whatever. Even though I was having a little difficulty still, but.
So was it like, was there like a moment or so that you knew that things were starting to like maybe turn for the better?
Yeah. I forgot to say at the beginning that I lost the sense of smell, lost the sense of taste, and appetite and all of that. I did not have appetite at first. And yes, I ate, but the appetite wasn't there. That's the home part. In the hospital, they gave me something for my stomach, so I would have appetite. And so I started to eat, and they gave me food, and sometimes I asked for more. So, yeah, I realized maybe after day 4, when I started to feel, a little different. I'm noticing that I can make the bathroom trips a little easier. Yes, I'm still coughing, I'm still short of breath, but it's a little easier. I'm walking stronger. The fatigue doesn't come as often, or it doesn't remain so for so long. So I realized, hey, this is working, I might make it out of here alive after all.
The exercises you had to do, I think there's a picture of you doing
Yes.
it. That was an integral part of your recovery, but you
It
said
still
it's
is.
painful.
Yes, yes, to everything you said.
I can't remember the name of it. Spirulator, is that what it's called?
I think that's what you call
Something
it,
like
yes.
that, yeah.
But it is very painful, and I still have to. I don't know if you hear me, like when I talk for very long, and I've been talking, I get short of breath. I have to do this exercise. It's really just to suck in air, but it's harder than it's harder than it really looks, because when your lungs is not 100 or are not 100%, to expand it is what is painful, right? So sucking in the air as much as you can until it hurts, and then letting it go, and then sucking in again, and then it has a gauge. So when the first attempt I made, the doctor said, you could start off at 500, you could watch the gauge, and you could start at 500, and I'm sorry I didn't bring it to show you how it works, but maybe that's better. So I started off 500, was the lowest level. Easy, that was easy. And he said, well, you could carry it up to 750, and I did that, little challenging. You see, and then from there, you carry it down 1,000, you try to go up. It goes all the way up to 4,000. And I'm still not even halfway with it yet on the gauge. But it will be a daily process, and it will be a long process to recovery. Dr. Mansa tells me that climbing a flight of stairs for him initially took like 5 minutes, and I thought, that sounds ridiculous, 5 minutes in a flight of stairs, until I had to climb the stairs to come up here.
I know.
And it didn't take me entire 5 minutes, but because I could rest along, because there are platforms where I can rest along, but it did take me a couple minutes, and then when I got to the top, I had to really just stand up and try to catch my breath.
Yeah.
So easy things, simple things that you take for granted, climbing stairs, maybe sweeping, walking a long distance, or walking briskly. You can't really do that.
What was it like when they told you they would release you from the hospital?
Well, I was asking from earlier on, before that, please let me go. No, I could do this, man. I got this. When they took me off the oxygen at maybe the 6, and then they held me for observation, But when they disconnected that oxygen, I felt good. I said, all right, it's just a matter of maybe a few hours. It wasn't a few hours, it was one day. They held me for another day. They held me hostage for another. I'm just joking, Sister Bowman. Thank you and your team. You're wonderful people. So I knew that it would only be a matter of time before I was released. And yes, I was released the Saturday evening. That was 1 week and 1 day after my admittance.
Yeah. What was it like? There's a picture of your bed with your name on it, and I want you to tell us the story behind
why
that.
I took that picture. Yeah. That was after I had seen people die, and I went to the bathroom, and I had my phone with me, and I said, you know what? I looked at my bed and I said, I make up my mind that I will walk out of this bed, because I remember what the doctor told me. Some people walk in and they don't leave alive. It all depends. I didn't walk in. I was rolled in. But I looked at my empty bed and I said, no, I will walk out of here. You won't bag me up and take me to the morgue. I will walk out of this bed. And I thought that, so this picture was for me a constant reminder. Every day I looked at it and I said, I have to walk out of this bed, you know. And yeah, again, I just want to say, Marlene, that all the messages that you guys sent to me, everybody here, you guys checked in with me every day. Thank you to you in particular, because even on the weekends you checked in. You are for me, man. You genuine, and you also offered help in whatever way, you know. So, and Carla, thank you, Carla. She offered me her office downstairs, to work out of, because she knows I can't climb the stairs that often. To, you know, to whenever you get assignments and you have to run up and down the stairs, that I can't do that yet. So thank you, Carla. You're so kind. I appreciate it. Thank you to all my colleagues here. George, Chris, thank you, Chris. Chris, every day, Chris checks in with me. How you do today? Peeps, how you do? That's my nickname. You know, you have to fight, right? That's the message. Chris he said, but you know you have to fight, right? Yes. So, you know, and I appreciate it, man. Lisbeth and Reporter Press, my previous colleagues and boss, thank you so much. Thank you today, Carl Hirschner team. Thank you, Dr. Musa, Dr. Mansa, everybody who checked in with me. I appreciate it. My family.
How important is it? And I think we've talked about this just briefly, but we said that as in conversations, I should say, that we are exposed as people who work in the media to a lot more information. And so we knew certain things, like you knew you had to go to the hospital, you know, that 5 to 10 period. But you also knew from interviews you've done before that mental strength was going to be an important part of recovery.
Yes, I did. I think the information that I was privy to helped me a lot. All those interviews, and you know, when I heard Mrs. Ingrid Vega, and good morning, Mrs. Vega, kudos to you for your fight and for surviving as well. You actually went a little further than me. You were on a ventilator and you survived. Oh gosh. So yeah, the information that I had by interviewing people like Mrs. Vega, Dr. Mansa, Dr. Cuellar, just before I went in, I had interviewed Dr. Cuellar. All these people who are COVID survivors helped me to have a better understanding of what it is that you go through. And you know, even though I appreciated the information that you all shared with me, you still don't really understand what it is like until you're in that position and you have to fight for your own self. Man, I tell you, that was a rough one. Everything that COVID does to your body, because it just breaks you down in every way. It breaks you down and it leaves you like, wow, I can't even describe it, Marlene.
You said this thing to me about you felt like your body was under attack.
Yes.
Things just kept on getting...
Like the life was being sucked out of me, literally. And having to struggle for air. I mean, something that is all around me and I can't, my lungs is not, they're not working, so I can't breathe, I can't take in the air. And that's the worst feeling. And the not knowing, because when you're at the 5, 6, and 7, and you don't know, you're not getting any better, because your body is telling you you're not getting better, you're actually getting worse as the days progress, and then you don't know if you'll make it out, because they give you a window, a period, right, where they say, well, between day 1 and 14, you should you monitor yourself, and I know I'm getting worse. So the not knowing is also, it gnaws at you, you know, mentally, because you don't know if you'll make this, if you'll survive this.
You said,
I was going to say, and having come, you know, having had that, gone through the battle and having come so close, now that you're in recovery, what have you learned from the experience, and what are some of the things that now you're looking forward to now that you're back in the real world? If you want to put it like that.
Well, what I've learned, not take things for granted. I bask in everything that maybe people still take for granted. I don't take for granted. Simple things. Maybe not a plate of food where I like. I not just want to say thanks, but I really want to sit down and enjoy the plate of food there, because you just don't know. COVID does so much to you, Gavin, that I tell you, and I don't want to be mean, but I just want to say this: unless you've been there, if you experience it yourself, then you understand fully where I'm coming from. Because I'm still struggling to breathe, I'm still struggling to breathe. So the things where we take for granted, even in recovery, I don't have, I still am struggling with. You can't take those things for granted. So I've learned that lesson.
Marianne, we thank you for sharing your story. There's so much more we can go into, but just what do you want your final message to be as we round off the conversation?
Again, just to repeat this, and I don't mind how it sounds. If you say, when I tired, I hear that. Maybe you need to be tired of hearing it, because again, the importance of stop socializing at this time, because you could make people that you love or care about very ill, or it could be worse, if they catch it. So ease off from the socializing, abide by the regulations, wear your mask properly, please, especially when you have to share space with people on a bus, a dollar van, a taxi. Wear your mask properly, man. You shouldn't be selfish. We've gone 2020 and this far in 2021. We shouldn't still be so selfish that wear a mask under your nose or under your chin. No, because we already know that when you do that, you could get people who you care about sick. It might not have to be you, but we shouldn't be selfish and or breaking the law. And I want to appeal to the authorities as well. Please just try to enforce the law a bit more, because I think that's why people take advantage. I know they see the police wrong as much, and I know the police busy, but if you could just maybe have a little presence, more presence, especially in those areas where a lot of parties, people like socialize and so forth, have company over. Maybe just do a little, more patrols in those areas. The city buses too, people go on the buses, take down their masks, no care. And then they take down their masks and they start to talk.
And even the most careful people have to take public transportation.
Yes.
But Marianne, we thank you for sharing your story. It's something that we all need to hear. And so I think we're all happy to have you back. You're taking it easy, a bit at a time, but happy to have you back, and I know how eager you said you wanted to come back as well.
Yes, I wanted to come back. Thank you so much, Marlene. Thank you, Gavin. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Thanks.
And with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break, and we're keeping it on healthcare as we find out more about the Southern Well Care Dialysis Clinic that is opening in Southern Belize. Please.
This COVID update was brought to you by Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service. Working off-site doesn't mean you have to be off your game. Studies have shown that simply adding a keyboard and mouse to your laptop increases productivity by 26%. Add a monitor, and you'll be 35% more productive. At Fulltech Systems, we have what you need to enhance your remote work or e-learning experience. With devices such as headsets, video conferencing monitors, webcams, keyboards, mice, docking stations, all with the brands you trust. Keep connected with collaboration tools like Microsoft 365 Suite and Kaspersky and perform efficiently no matter where you are. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
It's a fact that your credit lasts longer when using Smart. During these times, we're all trying to find ways to cut costs and save the little resources we have. With Smart, it's easy to do that. It's a fact that with Smart, your credit lasts longer. You can call Smart to Smart and Smart to Digi using your promo credit, while with the other guy, you can only call on-net, Digi, or BTL numbers. What does this mean? You get to call any national number using your promo credit. Your promo credit is free, so that call is also free. Know your facts. Don't be tricked by the other guy. Be smart and save your dollars.
Vaccines protect you and they protect me. Getting vaccinated is one of the most important things you can do to keep yourself and your family safe and healthy. Once enough people are immunized, opportunities for an outbreak of disease becomes very low. And if we all choose to get vaccinated, we contribute in getting back to spending quality time with our loved ones in a safe way.
Life can be tough when a loved one suddenly departs. Dependents of the deceased are sometimes left alone to pick up the pieces and may be stranded financially. Fortunately, the Social Security Board provides survivor's benefit to ease the burden. Survivor's benefit is paid to a widow or widower, children under 18 years, or up to 21 years if attending school, or dependent parents. A survivor's benefit can be either a grant or a pension. Want to know more about survivor's benefit? Visit our website or contact any of our offices to have someone assist you. Also, be sure to visit our Facebook page and give us a like to stay informed. Social Security Board, safeguarding you, your family, your future.
Whether you're at home, on the road, at work, or at school, if you see news happening or suspect that something might be up, call or text the Channel 5 News Belize tip line at 672-5555. You don't have to give us your name, just give us the tip. That's 672-5555. Call or text us so we can check it out.
If you're joining us right now, we are just getting our second conversation started for this morning, and we're talking all about a great new initiative, and we're going to be learning about a new dialysis clinic which is opening up in the southern region, and we're here to talk all about the Southern WellCare Dialysis Clinic. Joining us for this conversation, we have Carlos Pereira, who is the owner of the Southern WellCare Dialysis Clinic, and we also have joining us via Zoom Sydney Arzu, who is the president of the Belize Wellness Foundation, and Robert Mariano, the mayor of Dangriga Town. Good morning.
Mm-hmm. Morning, guys. Yes, good morning. Good morning.
All right.
Thanks for joining us. Really interested to hear all about this project. So, Southern WellCare Dialysis Clinic, how did the idea come about, or to establish the clinic?
Well, as everybody knows, that I own several other dialysis centers across the country. And this has been a project that we have been looking on from when we opened the center in Cayo, the Ramona Linda, we knew that the next phase of the project was to go down south. It was just for us to look at the timing, the right persons that can work along with us to make the project a reality.
Yeah.
And so we were able to meet the mayor and the diaspora, actually from California, the Wellness Foundation. And in that discussion, we understand that they were looking at the project for a while now, for about 2 or 3 years. And so having looked at their proposal and what they were looking to do, I decided to say, listen, instead of us duplicating efforts, why don't we come together as Belizeans and we put this clinic together and we can help you all because we have the experience, we have the resources, we represent Fresenius International here in Belize, so we can help you make the South a reality for a clinic, especially with these COVID times and patients having to travel from Dangriga, PG, all the way to Belize City here and to Cayo in our other clinics and so forth across the country. And that's how that initiative came about. And so we're still, Friday, we sit down and we sign the official MOU to make it official from that end.
You know, this initiative of decentralizing the dialysis care that's available. Before, it was mostly in the north and in Belize City that you'd get access to dialysis machines. And what people don't know is that, you know, one, you have to go multiple times a week for several hours. And for someone who lived in the south, for example, that's almost full time dedicated towards just getting treatment to stay alive.
Correct. And so what we found out in talking to Mr. Arzu, the president of the Belize Wellness Foundation from California, was that there were a lot of Belizean Americans from California who wants to come to Belize and are willing to come to Belize, but are dialysis patients. And one of the issues is that they're all the way down south when they come home. So let me put Mr. Arzu so he can give you all some insight on why they have continued to push this initiative with us and the benefits that it will bring to some Belizean Americans. So, Mr. Arzu can.
Sydney?
Thank you there, Carlos, and thank for Channel 5 for having us on this broadcast this morning to let folks know what we're doing. In the United States, particularly in California, for several years. And this whole process of dialysis arises from my cousins and close friend about the same age who had ended end-stage renal disease, and he wanted to come home to basically stay here, either on an extended period of time or basically return home. But he lived down south, and as a result of that, I had to come because there were no dialysis services in the south. His name is Alden Keith Alden. Unfortunately, he passed away earlier this year, so he never will be able to take fruition of this effort. But looking at our folks down south, the underserved community, I've been since 1917. I reached 2017. Sorry, 2017. I reached out to our very helpful mayor to partner with us to see if we can get this done, and he was very supportive. We have, and we ventured out early this year to make sure that this was going to be a possibility. To add, we have 2 other active members of Belizean Wellness Foundation, a nonprofit in the United States. Are members, and they are on dialysis. We have Timothy Flores, who's a retired civil servant from here, and Baltazar, who is also on dialysis, and they want to be able to spend more time home. In fact, Timothy wants to return home from the United States. So our resilience moved forward, and we never gave up. Thanks for Mr. Pereira coming for reaching out to us to partner with us. It was the light at the end of the tunnel, and so everybody is excited. We are getting even a lot more support from the United States Belizean community, and we look forward to getting this move to open the center early next year.
Yeah.
And Carlos, perhaps maybe for some people who don't like fully understand, can you talk about the based on the nature of dialysis and the treatment, can you talk about the importance of people having access in close proximity to perhaps where they live? Because, I guess some people like listening to Sydney just now, they wouldn't understand why it's so important that they need the center like physically in or near, Dangriga or the south.
There's several factors. There's the cost factor.
Mm-hmm.
There's the transportation, which is put out exhaustion on your body.
Mm-hmm.
There's the now new COVID issue that you
Mm-hmm.
have to be concerned about. And so those three areas of concern is what patients bring to us. I have 9 patients from the south that attends Ramona Linda in Cayo.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not their fault. The clinic just doesn't exist in the south. And when they arrive at the clinic, they're exhausted, they're tired.
Mm-hmm.
Then from there, after they're sitting there in a chair for 3-4 hours, they have to catch another bus or their private vehicle to again travel all the way down south. There's a patient from Placencia that has to get there by 10 o'clock for us in order for us to dialyze her on a timely basis. Puts a strain on her body. She has to be able to catch a bus at a particular time in Cayo, or she misses to get back home and she has to incur a cost to stay overnight.
Mm-hmm.
So the logistics of having that accessibility is important.
Yeah.
And so with that, it's one of the natures of dialysis. Fresenius International, which we represent, have been focused in doing that. I just got back from Guatemala, where we are going to put one of the new 5008 machines in this southern clinic, because it gives better dialysis care as well, but it's a more expensive machine. So the quality of care is important, but that has to do with your health and how you are coming mentally to the clinic. And you want to be home away from home. We don't want you to be coming home exhausted and so forth from that. And you need to be able to go back to work and to work as normal. And so the logistics is very important. And so that's why we're taking it closer to home, closer to those patients.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of other factors that are there. There are patients who are not on the program that want to do dialysis, but because it's too far. So there's a lot of other factors that putting it in Dangriga, in the south, will help more people and help those who are already traveling and putting themselves at risk.
Let's get Mayor Mariano into the conversation to hear a bit more about how you're assisting in the collaboration.
Yes, thank you very much for inviting me onto the show. I would also like to thank Sid and Carlos for partnering with the Dangriga Town Council and to get us involved. You heard Carlos say it right, that there are so much factors that is affecting our people here in Dangriga, especially those that are having kidney problems. And so we look at the cost. People have to do several fundraising to pay for the cost of dialysis in other districts. Then they have to do fundraising as well for transportation. And for those who can't afford transportation, they have to actually take that, do some punishment to travel on public transport from here to other districts to get their dialysis. The other thing is the COVID, which make them vulnerable, to death if they would catch COVID on the bus. So when Sid came and discussed this matter with me some years ago, as soon as he learned that I became mayor, he came back and he discussed the matter with me. And we get Dr. Zab, the ERA rep, involved as well. And so we collaborate together. And so we tag team with them and then doing all that we can to ensure that this becomes a reality. The other thing is that I also look at is the reality that this will also create employment for Dangriga people, because several people will be employed from Dangriga for sure when it comes to this center.
Now that's a key point there. While employment opportunities are definitely something to look forward to, what about ensuring they're trained?
Let me answer the first question.
Yeah.
The employment aspect is overwhelming. We have put it out there, and in less than a week or 2 weeks, we got over 100 applications. Wow. And that ranged from physicians to nurses,
registered nurses, staff nurses, technicians, administrators from that end. And that shows the importance of what we bring to the table of employment down south. In regards to the training and so forth, the good thing, because we're Fresenius recognized and Fresenius representation here in Belize, we have that direct connection with Germany, Panama, and Guatemala, where we can communicate with our nurses. The nurses in Ramona Linda, we did Zoom training with them due to COVID when we had launched that particular clinic. The technicians communicate directly. We have some of the same machines at Belize Healthcare Partners. Their technicians communicate with our people in Panama via Zoom when there are issues and so forth. So training is not an issue. They will be fully trained on the machines and so forth in that regard. From the technicians, the nurses, the doctors, and it's not going to be an issue. And most important, we want to give employment to the people down south. We want to give that focus. We're not saying we're closing the doors to anybody who is from outside that area, but as I told the mayor, it's important to educate and to also have the locals feel a representation down south, that this is part of them. This is something that is now a reality for them. So training, because we're Fresenius recognized, we'll be doing all of that for them.
How many machines do you plan to have at the center?
We're normally going to be opening up with 10 machines.
Okay.
A little bit larger than the size of the population that we would want to put down there, but we believe that the need is there, the growth will be there, and as we did in Cayo, we have exceeded the needs in Cayo. So even the Cayo clinic, Ramona Linda, we're looking to expand as we speak because of that. So I had anticipated 10 machines there as well. Now we're going to we're going to be up above that. So same thing with the south, because remember, we'll be servicing PG as well. We'll be servicing all those areas, Independence from that end, not only Dangrigatong, and these patients come from all the south.
And looking at the affordability of it.
Well, Marlene, you know that in 2015, when I opened the first outpatient clinic, the first thing that I did for the country was to reduce the price. Where we were paying $600, $800 per session, the price is the same, $200 per session across any of the clinics for us, and that is to make it affordable. And that is a price that anybody can ensure that they acquire the service. One of the key things that we're doing, the foundation still will explain to you, is that they will also be assisting those patients for those third sessions that the government doesn't pay. Keep in mind that the government pays 2 sessions, and the third is paid by the patient. The foundation is going to see how they can work with us, and we will also give them a discount on that. We're not going to charge them. It's to make it affordable for the people down south, and that's the initiative that we're here for.
Yeah, Sydney, you want to tell us a bit about that fundraising, because even $200 a week is a lot for people who need dialysis.
Well, like what Carlos said originally, was a major issue. I remember when a couple of us to travel here, they had to go to Belize City. In fact, fly to Belize City, which was at least $100 one way. Then they have to pay for a cab, and other expenses of transportation, mode of transportation and assistance was expensive, and they can exhaust their. The price that others have negotiated is very, very, very fitting with our strategy. We're not offering free dialysis for the public, because that would be very, very difficult to manage. But in collaboration with the government services, we are, as a foundation, we are supporting a discounted rate, something like 50% of the regular cost for people who cannot afford dialysis. We also have members and supporters in the United States who who's been with us to make this possible. We are also making it possible for them to have comfortable and professional international standard dialysis services when they come visit to the United States. So the affordability, I think, is there. I know that the folks in the South, particularly, weight are very difficult, and with COVID today, employment is a problem, and we will do our best to be able to support them.
Yeah.
And the other part to it that Honorable Mariano can add to it, he wanted the employment opportunity for our people in South Belize as the primary candidates. So we're doing a multitasking here, opportunity and benefit for our people. So I think that it will be well accepted and suit our environment.
Yeah. Now, it's called a well care dialysis clinic. Are there other elements that are being included?
In any center, we'll have the nutritionist on board, you have the nephrologist on board. So it's going to be a well-rounded center. We'll have an isolation center for B, Hep C patients, HIV patients. The only new aspect of it that, as I said, that will be new to any of the other clinics that we have interest in will be that we'll have the brand new 5008 models. Yeah. These are new models that Fresenius have brought out, but it's something that we want to bring to be able to illustrate to the government and the Ministry of Health the quality of dialysis that these machines bring. Actually, in Guatemala right now, those 5008 machines are evaluated by the Social Security, because that's how it's managed in Guatemala. And they see that the results of dialysis on these the different models are different. And so that's some of the things that we want to bring to Belize, to take dialysis to a different level, as opposed to we're using these old 2008 models coming in from the US that are old and refurbished. We want to put the dialysis to another level. One of the members for Belize Wellness Foundation, which I wasn't aware of, attends one of our clinics in Cayo. And Mr. Baltasar, I believe. And when I found out he was a part of the foundation, I said, I recognize that name, you're a patient. And he said, yes. He said, Mr. Pereira, the machines and so forth and the service that is offered in the West is as if I walk into Davita or any of the other centers in the US. And that's where we want to take it, Marlene. We want to take that service to that different level. Absolutely.
And I think just for people who have been trying to figure out a way to get to their treatment, this is going to be such a relief. Transportation costs definitely eliminated or cut down significantly, and also just the amount of time and energy that it takes. Are we still seeing, I know the Ministry of Health program is limited, and one of the challenges with dialysis patients, it's always the same. It's trying to get on the program, but majority of the time it's capped out. Is that still an ongoing challenge that you find with the centers?
Yes, it is still a challenge. The government has a budget to be able to cater to patient needs in that regard. You know that they had changed the program from 3 sessions to 2 sessions to be able to expand the amount of patients that they're doing. I will say that the new government had made some changes and had increased it actually from 88 to 96. We are writing some proposals to the government right now to see how we can even increase that number even further for them to make it even more affordable for the ministry. But the reality will be, Marlene, that at some point in time, the government will have to increase their budget, because the cases of renal failure is there, and it's increasing. It's unfortunate that we have to monitor it tremendously for the fact that COVID is an issue. We have lost some patients over the last few weeks, not only in our center, in all the centers across this country, because it is one of the underlying conditions that if you have, COVID can make it deadly. Yes. So we had some patients that passed, and we're trying, so accessibility is important, and the ministry is aware that we need to get these patients on the program. They're very cooperative with us on making that happen. I can't say that they're not, but at some point the ministry will have to look at their budget for an expansion in that regard, because the numbers are increasing, but they're working with us. They're working to ensure that patients are on the program, getting on the program, and we ourselves try to help the patients, Marlene. What we do is we write to Social Security, we write to certain organizations who may want to sponsor patients in that case.
And there are, you know, I think when you think of the elements in our country, diabetes, if uncontrolled, can lead you to the type of kidney failure, kidney disease that would have you require dialysis treatment. I guess the light at the end of the tunnel is that KHMH is exploring kidney transplants, and they've said they'll be moving in that direction. So for some people, there may be an end.
Correct.
But the long-term goal here, Carlos, if you want to tell us, is being able to ensure that those who need access to this care can get it as close to their home as possible and at a rate that they can afford.
That is the goal, and that will always be the goal in this type of service. It's to make it accessible to those patients closer for many reasons, like I said, we said earlier. So yes, that will be our goal, and that continues to be our goal. You may see not much further expansions after this last one here, but we may do further expansions down the road, for example, going further west and things like that, or even further south with smaller centers. We will be approaching the government to see, because remember, we are only dealing with chronic cases. There are still acute cases that go to the regional hospitals from that end. So we will be putting a proposal to the ministry for putting in machines at the regional hospitals where we can offer acute cases within the hospital, so they have that service. But that's something that we're looking long term as well.
And so the clinic officially opens?
Clinic officially opens in January. We are, as we speak right now, we're doing renovations. I'm importing actually about 30 machines because we're replenishing in different clinics. They will be getting 10 machines down south. And I think by December, we'll be doing some testing, running the water system, which we always have to do. And then by January, we'll be able to cut that ribbon and start offering the service. Because immediately, like I said, 8 or 9 patients from the clinic in Kaya will be transferred. So I'll be transferring them from the Kaya clinic to the
people who are already commuting
to us right now. So that's very important for them. They're more than happy in that regard.
Well, we are just about out of time for this segment, but we do want to say thank you to everybody for coming in and sharing all about this news. And it's filling a need that's very much there. So we definitely appreciate the work that you're doing, and the foundation, and that you're able to get support from the municipal government. So thank you, gentlemen, for coming in and sharing all about the Southern Wellcare Dialysis Clinic.
Thank you as well.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, stay safe.
Okay.
And see you tomorrow.
Appreciate that. And with that, we're going to be taking a very short break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking all about the female under-17 football team and their preparation for the CONCACAF under-17 qualifiers. So we'll be right back, so stay tuned.
Are you looking to invest in a growing free trade economy with ideal geographical positioning and existing economic partnership agreements with countries around the world? Perfectly nestled between Central America and the Caribbean, Belize is open for business with over $500 million in investment opportunities in industries such as agriculture, aquaculture, tourism, and much more. Register today to participate in the Belize Investment Summit 2021 and find the investment opportunity that's right for you.
As one of the largest cable and internet providers in Belize, CBC strives to provide our customers with the highest standards of quality, value, and service in all aspects of cable TV and internet. Monitoring our systems closely, our technicians combine creative planning and state-of-the-art technology with years of experience and training to develop and provide the most reliable and advanced cable and internet service to exceed your expectations. For CBC and our team of talented engineers, technicians, and customer service representatives, delivering less than the very best is never an option.
To decrease your risk of being bitten by infected mosquitoes, use proven personal protective methods too. Apply an effective mosquito repellent to exposed areas of skin according to manufacturer's instructions. Wear light-colored long pants and shirts while outdoors in the early morning and late afternoons. Further, protect vulnerable family members like pregnant women, children, the elderly, and persons who are unwell by using mosquito nets to sleep or rest, even during the day. Fight the bite and protect yourself and your family too from mosquito-borne diseases.
Hey son, how was your first day at sixth form?
Really cool. It was great to see my friends, and I really love my teachers.
I'm so happy to hear that. I'm sorry I wasn't there for your first day, but I'll be back from Corozal next week.
It's okay, Dad. I can't wait to see you. Oh, and please remember, I still have some books I need to purchase.
Ah, yes. Let me e-cash you that right now. Money has been sent. I add a little extra cash just for you.
Whoa, Dad. Thanks. Got it.
You're welcome, sir.
Download the eCash app today and take your first step into a cashless lifestyle. For more information, visit www.e-cash.com or contact us via WhatsApp at 613-0257. eCash, the future is here.
Bringing people together has always been SMART's mission and passion. That is why we are proud to have built a locally independent quality network from the ground up that spans the country with over 100 sites. We continue to add more affordable mobile data packages, broadband speeds, and voice services to meet your personal and business needs. SMART has set the standard of true competition with the most competitive prices on all services offered. We invite and welcome you to join the SMART family, where the value for your dollar matters. SMART will continue bringing new technologies, more affordable prices, network expansions, and people together. SMART, bringing people together.
Great Belize Productions Channel 5, proud winner of 5 Caribbean Media Awards for 2019 and 2020. Best Television News Item, Best Responsible Coverage of Children's Issues, Best Health Education Journalism, Best Television Commercial Spot, and the People's Choice Award, with special mention by the jury in the Best Television News Item category.
Whether you're at home, on the road, at work, or at school, if you see news happening or suspect that something might be up, call or text the Channel 5 News Belize tip line at 672-5555. You don't have to give us your name, just give us the tip. That's 672-5555. Call or text us so we can check it out.
We're back, and we are moving into our final conversation for today, where we get to highlight our young athletes who are preparing to take on the competition at the CONCACAF U17 qualifiers in Miami, Florida. We have with us some members of our national U17 female football team. The athletes are Lorraine Cal and Shamika Lambi, who are joining us via Zoom. And we have Iris Centeno, who is the Women's Director for FFB. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you once again for having us on the show. We always like to be a part of any media that will allow us to promote female football. My name is Iris Centeno. I am the Woman Director in charge of women football at the Football Federation of Belize. But I am also the head coach for the 17 national team that will be traveling to Florida. So we are very excited to go on this new experience, this new challenge, and we are hoping that we give Belize something to celebrate. And we are sure that our girls will go out there and perform for us. We know how hard they have been working, and our focus and our mission is to go out there not to participate anymore, but to win, compete in that level that we can be recognized as also a country that have a very good football level. And that's our priority and that's our focus for now.
Yeah.
And Iris, why don't you talk a little bit about all of that training that has been getting you up to this point so far? What's it been like over the past few months and years working to this point?
Honestly, it has been very challenging due to the pandemic. The girls, you know that the contact sports haven't been alone, and the girls have to find their own way to train when they were not at camp. But what we did lately is that we brought them in. For example, right now they're here with us in a bubble. They're not allowed to go home. And you know how much challenging it is not to see your family, not to speak with them or be around your family. Here at the Federation, we try to keep them active, try to keep them motivated, but we need to be real and we know that the girls do miss home. So it's a little bit challenging. And when it comes to the work and so forth, we've been training since June. We are not the type of administration that now believe we will be bringing the girls maybe a week before the competition. We want to give the girls the opportunity to have enough time to prepare and understand what will it be that we will be doing out there, how we're supposed to play, what is the system, how we're supposed to be moving. So from since June, we have been here training, and every weekend, sometimes we come in 2 weeks straight, 1 week or 1 weekend and so forth, so that we keep them active and they understand and have enough time to prepare.
And why don't we hear from some of the athletes about how that training has gone? Lorraine, do you want to talk about your experience?
Are you muted? It can be Lorraine or Shamika.
Yeah, Shamika, you can start too.
The girls are feeling a bit shy this morning, Iris, it seems. But tell us, you know, you said something so critical while we tried to sort out that audio issue with them. You said that a key part of what you are aiming to do is to ensure that the team builds essentially their cohesiveness, that they're able to practice together, play together before heading out to competition. And that's always one of the challenges that our national teams tend to have. Have this was a sample that you used for the U20 girls who played very recently as well. Have you seen the difference in the results?
Yes, we can see the difference even with the U20, although we lost one game out there and we won one, we can see the difference because time and having them together for so long allow them to give them the opportunity to get to know one another better, understand that we're a family, that we need to, I can come from Toledo, I can come from North, but we have to understand when we come to the national team, we are Belize. We're no longer PG, we're no longer Corozal, we're Belize. And we're one family, and then we try to ensure that the girls get to understand one another, accept each other personality, because we have to be honest, each person have a different personality, and sometimes maybe some might not agree with one another, but for the love of the game, get to work with one another and forget whatever other stuff that might be distracting or not allowing you to be a team player.
Yeah.
And what's it like trying to raise the level of competition to the international standards?
Yeah, well, that's our mission. When it comes to female football, and you go back into our records, you can see that females right now lately have been doing a lot better than the males when it comes to our games in the youth category. And we have great results. You will not hear that we go out there and get in the youth level that will be getting 14 or 5 mil or so forth. Like the last national team that went out there, the last by one goal we lost, and it was an auto goal because one simple mistake happened, and it's not like before that you would be getting a lot of goals. So the priority is to train them properly, give them enough time, and everything comes down to coaches. It is very important that the coaches are also educated because you need to teach the players the proper information. And that's what I love and respect about our new administration, that when it comes to coaching, they take it very serious, and we keep preparing many people so that they can know what is it that we should be teaching to the girls. It's no longer about only going the field running and doing physical. No, we need to teach the girls what's the system. How do we move? If we play a 4-3-3, what is my position? How do I move from here to here when I have the ball and when I lose the ball? So everything is different now, and we plan to keep moving forward, keep growing, not only the players, but the coaches as well.
All right. I think our players are back now. Shamika, Lorraine?
Yes.
All right. There you go, Shamika. Tell me, what's the experience been like? You guys are now at the camp. You're there to prepare for the competition. What has it been like for you?
Well, it's going good. Everything is going as it should. I enjoyed my time here at camp, and well, as we prepare, challenges, so we have to work and.
Yeah.
What's that work like? Like, typical training, like a training day. Like, what all is involved in a day for you when you're preparing, for a competition like this?
Well, in a competition this big, you train really hard. If you want to win, you have to you have to do your own work too, because if you depend on the coaches, you won't be country like you want to be.
Okay. How old are you, Shamika?
15 years old.
All right. And how long have you been playing football?
I play football from I was at a really young age. You can see basically 8 years old.
And what is it about football that you really liked, or what attracted you about it to football?
When I was young, I used to hang out with lone boys, and I used to really enjoy them. I used to enjoy watching them playing football. And they had this man who named Mr. Loy, who used to hold a camp every summer for kids to play football. And every year I would go, and he would tell me one day I would make the national team because he see potential in me, and I worked very hard. I played football every day, and now I can say I make the national team.
Did you always have that goal set that you are going to go out and represent Belize on the national football team?
Yes, I worked very hard to be here because I want to prove to Mr. Loy that I made it and that I deserve a spot to be here and that I can make my country proud.
And what about your other teammates? What is it like sharing the experience and training with other girls who have the same passion as you?
It feels really good to know that there are other females like me who love the sport and who would put in the time and dedication to be here. And it's really good to play with other people rather than playing with one of girls in your town or district.
And Iris, that goes back to a little bit of something, or addresses something that kind of you mentioned earlier when we spoke about like perhaps a comparison between the men's teams and the female teams. How do you feel like the level of support is for the women's football team, in general?
Well, yeah, in general, when it comes to the support, it happens worldwide that football and other sports are male-dominated, and many believe that maybe only the males should be playing, or they're the ones that are very good at it, and so forth. And we believe that we can change that, and the only way we can continue to change that is by giving Belize results. And up to now, we've been giving the country many celebrations when it comes to the youth and even the senior team. And that's the way we will continue to fight and change the people mentality that girls can also play football, and we need them to support. I ask the country of Belize to give us an opportunity. We do have supporters. Honestly, we do have people that support us from day one, and they have kept with us. Even when we lost games, they're still there with us. But the population, or let's say the number of people supporting, is not as big as the males. So we will continue fighting. We will continue proving to those that are still not riding with us that we can make Belize proud, and that we need them to support us as well, just as how they support the males. Even the business community, We will have competitions. For example, our competition here for females, you will see that maybe one coach or maybe the manager will ask the business for assistance, and then they will think twice to actually support. And then when it comes to the males, then they will actually give them the priority. So we want to change that, and we want to ask the country that we need to start to support female football and start to see the great things that they are doing. We cannot continue play blind to the great steps that they're moving forward. That you can see that in the youth category we already been making history, and we need them to start to support us.
Now tell us a bit about the tournament that you're going to play. It's a qualifier. It's a CONCACAF qualifier. Which teams will we be taking on?
Yeah, we will be heading to Florida on Monday. We will be playing against Curacao. That's our first match, the 20th, 10:30 Belize time. And then we will be playing the second game against Barbados on the 22nd. We had another team in our group. Our group was Group B, but the team dropped out, which was St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So now we will just be playing Curacao and Barbados.
All right. How's it looking so far?
Well, we have high hopes. Just like how we had high hopes with the U20, we knew that we are in that competitive level now. We don't really feel scared or are nervous about we're going out there to take 14-0 or so forth. We know that we're going there to compete. Those countries know that we're going out there to give them a battle, and that's what we want. We don't want teams to look at us as the easy win, because we're not longer that anymore.
And Shamika, you still there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I mean, we lost Lorraine, unfortunately, so you have to do the shout out to the rest of your team this morning, since you're their spokesperson. One, just how you feel about going into the competition, what you want to say to the rest of your team this morning.
All I want to say to my team is that we have to stick together. We cannot give up. We are all in this together, and we got this girl power.
Yeah. All right. I love that. That's a great sense of confidence going into a competition. Iris, you mentioned earlier that you'd like some more support from the community. How can people show their support?
Well, first of all, let's tune in to our games. If we get a link, we'll be sharing that with you all.
Yeah.
Tune in, show the girls some love. Even before we left, maybe if you can make it a day that it's all about the 17 footballer, posting them on Facebook, on Instagram, and just sharing some love with them, that would be great. Then if there are business communities that would like to be a part of us, and you can donate, if it doesn't have to be financial, any equipment or so forth that you would like to give to the girls, t-shirts, traveling shirts, they can have your logo, we can probably just wear it, and we will be happy to actually have your support.
Yeah. You know, and speaking of the t-shirts and some support, we know that you left us give some gifts at our studio, which which we want to thank you a lot for.
Proud to wear.
Yeah, definitely gonna wear this and show our support. Yeah. So we got some Belize national team football jerseys, so we can look good while we're supporting them too. This is the closest. This is probably the first football jersey I will ever wear. I'm not the biggest.
See, he didn't say only, right? He said first. So that means maybe, Iris, with all your coaching experience, and we know that you are a licensed coach, you can be able to train us too.
Yeah, we have to go to like the 030 category then. Yeah, sign me up.
I would like to take this time as well to give thanks to all these schools. You know, these girls are taking classes online, and they still have to. We take education very serious. We tell our girls you need to be focused at school too. It's not only about football, and then we cannot just let it pass by, not to say thank you to the schools, because they allow us to arrange the workout so that the girls can do football and also stay focused at school.
Nice, nice. Well, we wish you the best of luck. Of course, we'll keep following along to find out how you are doing. And thank you for the jerseys. Thank you for telling us about all the work you've been putting in. And we will look forward to celebrating when you come back.
Definitely, I'm
Oh,
sure
there's
that
Lorena.
we will
Hi.
come back to celebrate with you.
All right, ladies. Bye.
Bye.
Yep. All right, and with that, we're going to be taking another short break, and we'll be having our wrap up right after. So please stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Es un hecho. Únicamente con Smart obtienes todo realmente ilimitado. Solo con Smart obtienes datos ilimitados en cualquier momento. Mientras que con el otro proveedor solo son datos dobles los fines de semana. Con datos ilimitados todos los días no hay necesidad de esperar, así que es un hecho que nuestros planes ilimitados superan a la competencia. Por lo tanto, no permita que le digan cómo y cuándo usar sus datos y obtenga llamadas, mensajes de texto y datos ilimitados. Vive la verdadera experiencia de planes ilimitados con Smart. Es un hecho. Haga el cambio y viva Smart.
The TV you love is always with you, from live TV, sports, and on-demand titles. Choose your plan today. Plans start as low as $15 per month. My TV, entertainment, anytime, anywhere.
Imagine going through your entire day without the burden and risk of carrying cash on you. Belize's shift to digital wallets has begun with eCash. We can now skip the cash when collecting money or paying for our essentials, all while using a fast, easy, and secure platform. Simply add funds to your wallet via bank transfer or at an agent, and you're good to go. You will be able to make quick, easy payments simply by scanning QR codes. And best of all, it all happens just like that. Payments are as easy as clicking a link online or scanning a QR code. Download the eCash app from the Google Play and Apple App Store today and take your first step into a cashless lifestyle. The future is here with eCash. For more information, visit www.e-cash.com or contact us via WhatsApp at 613-0257 to find out more.
We're back.
Yep, just wrapping up our show. We want to say thanks to all our guests who came in. We had a bunch of great conversations this morning. Of course, we kept it in the family for our first conversation and we spoke with our reporter Marianne Ali, who gave us her story about her battle with COVID-19. Of course, she's still in recovery, but you know, I thought that it was great that she was so candid and so brave about sharing every detail of her story, and also she also got real about some of the, you know, yes, she said health conditions, but she also spoke about some like lifestyle choices that a bunch of, you know, it's common things, you know, that we do when we socialize, drinking, you know, smoking, and these are just sort of normal things.
Not sleeping
and
enough.
not, you know, not taking care of yourself in general. So again,
Eating unhealthy,
and
obesity.
So yeah, I mean, I guess maybe we don't necessarily speak about those sort of things in the context of COVID-19 as much as we talk about, like, let's say the protocols, you know. But it's important when we talk about personal responsibility, that is also the big part of it too. So, you know, if you smoke cigarettes, you might want to second guess that. Take care of yourself.
Excessive drinking does take a toll on your body. Running yourself down does take a toll on your body. And from what she explained, it's a fight. I mean, it's a fight for your life.
And you want to keep yourself you want to make sure that you're in as good a position as possible if you do end up contracting the virus. And so apart from protocols, apart from vaccinations, taking care of yourself is key as well. So, you know, eat right, and even if it's just a little bit of exercise a day, you can go walk in the morning or in the evening. It's better than nothing. So thanks again to Marianne for sharing that.
And definitely kind of just putting the realness back into the situation. Gavin, the thing that scares me the most? I don't know. I think the idea of just seeing people die around you is something that has to be, the amount of mental strength that it takes to be able to see that and know that, it could go either way. You can almost be defeated or you're going to push harder. And she was able to push harder and push through it and get herself out, which is why that story of the picture of the bed where I'm saying, I'm going to walk out of here was so powerful. So we're grateful to her. First of all, we're just happy to have her back. Secondly, we're, of course, grateful to her for sharing her story. Yep. And then we want to say thank you to the representatives of the Southern Well Care Dialysis Clinic for coming in and telling us about their plans. It's a partnership that's taking place, ensuring that patients who need dialysis in the South can have access to treatment closer than what they have right now.
No, absolutely. It's a need. It's especially there. And as if you were listening to that conversation, Carlos was saying that everybody who is currently needs that treatment from down south, be it PG, be it Dangriga, the nearest site is in Cayo. And so it's going to definitely change a lot of lives. It's going to create a lot of opportunities for people down south. So I found that conversation to be pretty uplifting, and I like knowing that there's some hope on the horizon for people who need this treatment.
And lastly, our FFB U17 female football team. I got the opportunity to talk with the U20 team before they had left for the last competition. It was a great experience. When you think, and I think this is also part of stories we don't get to tell. When you think of sometimes our national teams and what they sacrifice, it's you have to leave home, you go, and you have to, because they have their bubble that they're in before their travel, to minimize anybody arriving at the competition and testing positive. So they are in a bubble, practicing and working hard, balancing school, balancing exercise and training, so that they can go out and wear this jersey with the Belize flag on it and be able to represent us in these competitions. So U17 team, we wish you the absolute best, and it's great to hear from them and their coach this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's just about all the time we do have for today. But if you want to contact us, you can send us an email at oye@channel5belize.com. You can also find us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ and on Instagram at OIEBelize.
And you can tune in again tomorrow morning at 6:30 when you open your eyes.
Start your morning right.
Until then,
keep your mind, your eyes,
and your hearts open. We'll see you soon. Enjoy your day.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.